So it all begs the question, is age just a number? To discuss that, I'm joined now by Danny Clifford, a music photographer who has worked with the Rolling Stones, and Dr. Adam Bear, Senior Lecturer in Contemporary and Popular Music at Newcastle University. Welcome to both of you. Danny, let's kick off with you, shall we? 76, 79 and 80, a new album, a new single, first new music in 18 years. The answer to that question, is age just a number, must, in their case, surely be yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fantastic that they've actually released an album at last. I think they're obviously one of the greatest bands in the history of music. So we've waited 18 years. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Love it. Absolutely love it. The last time they released an album that I was so excited about was 1978 when they released Some Girls, and I had hair then.
You would say that again. You were there?
No, I had hair. Had hair.
You had hair. Well, there we are. Happy days to remember those, I'm sure. Dr. Adam Bear, come on, what about you then? I mean, is it just business, do you think? Philip Norman, who wrote a biography about them, called them the biggest cash point in the universe. Is that what we're seeing here?
I don't think so. I mean, at the launch, Mick Jagger said, well, we wouldn't put this album out unless we liked it. And on the one hand, that's a sort of marketing speak. They're bound to say that. But on the other hand, they don't need to. They surely don't need the money. In terms of releasing a new album, the money's in touring now anyway. So I think we can take them at their word that they're doing it because they want to and because to whatever level they enjoy it.
Well, to quote Philip Norman again to you, Danny, when he was asked whether he loved it, he said, the whole thing is just another example of Rolling Stones' phoniness, because they didn't come from Hackney, they never lived in Hackney, they probably never visited Hackney, they probably still haven't visited Hackney, until someone told them that the young people of London have now migrated to Hackney because it's cool, like the King's Road was back in their day. Do you think it's phoniness, what we saw today?
Not at all. I think that's total sour grapes. I'd like to say from somebody that was actually born in Hackney, which I was, I'm quite excited that they've turned up in Hackney. But it's literally a play on words. Hackney Diamonds is literally, as Mick mentioned earlier on, as we all know, is actually when someone does sadly lose a window in their car on a Saturday night, as he put it. When you see the glass all over the floor, everyone refers to it as the Hackney Diamonds. Oops, my car's, it's Hackney Diamonds. But I think they are a London band. I think that's sour grapes. I think the fact that they're older now and they're still producing great music and they're still doing it is a great example to many people. Firstly, old age pensioners, well done, see, they're doing something for them. And young bands today can look at it and think, what a fantastic example. Not only are they just brilliant musicians, but they've been doing it for so long. They have got a lot of money. It's not about the money, clearly. It's about their love for music and everything that goes with it. Why would they stop if they don't have to?
Making use of images of them over the past 60 years. I mean, you say young in that video, but there's actually clips and images of them up into their 60s there. I think it's more a sort of statement of longevity.
Sort of cigarettes and cleavage for you?
Well, I don't smoke, and I have got a bit of cleavage because that's my size. But is it a bit of... No, look, there will be people who are very upset about that. There are some people who are screaming, oh, there's a young girl with, looking... sort of like voluptuous on a car driving along Sunset Boulevard. That's the Rolling Stones. That's what they do. That's the way it is. If people want to complain about it, the haters will hate, complainers will complain, and everyone else will buy their records and go and see them when they tour. And I think this fair play to them. I mean, they are really a British institution. The Rolling Stones, when you think about it, the early 60s. I mean, I was not even in school when they started. I wasn't even in junior school. But they're just phenomenal when you think about what they are still doing. And I know that there are people who are going to complain and moan and get on their little bandwagons. Great. I mean, good for them. Back on planet Earth, they are brilliant and they are a phenomenal band. And what they're doing today with new music after 18 years just shows their passion and their love for music and their fans, who will no doubt, I would guess, this will go to number one around the world. But that's just my opinion. No.
Yeah, well, Adam, are they, one, setting a precedent, and two, why is it that some bands make it all the way, or some artists do, for decades and decades, and others have short careers?
I think that's what they're doing is setting a precedent, again, via their longevity, certainly in terms of rock and roll. I mean, in some respects, it's not that new to still be performing and touring into your 80s.
76, and it was at Earl's Court in London. And I wasn't given a photo pass. I snuck in there with my cameras and got down to the very front and photographed them for the first. Oh, there's one from that gig. It was an incredible moment for me. I was just getting into the music industry and working with Queen, Stones, Status Quo, Pink Floyd and other bands. And it was just a thrilling time, that concert. I've worked with them quite a few times. That was also the same gig in 76, I think. I've worked with them a few times over the years, and they're just incredible. I mean, whilst we're just looking at photographs of them, nobody seems to complain about my all-time idol, and God, Paul McCartney, who's just a touch over 80 and still touring and releasing music. And as Adam just mentioned as well, there are many other people out there of similar ages and more that are still doing it. There's another one that's from Denver, I think, or somewhere in the States. I think it was Denver. A little later than that must have been the mid 2000s, that shot. I just think, there's Charlie. Yeah, he was fortunately played on. Well, they got him on the album, doing bits on there, and which is lovely. I just think I'm really excited. I can't wait to hear the whole album. I think it's great news, and if anyone wants to complain about it, my advice would be just don't go and see them or don't buy the album. But the rest of the world will. So I think it's quite good. I love that. Even though I took. It's strange, that, isn't it? I just love that shot of Mick. It's just a real, typical Mick Jagger shot for me. But,
absolutely, and epitomises rock and roll, back in the day. Final question to you then, Dr. Adam Bear. Is rock and roll part of the establishment now? Is it as dangerous and risque as it used to be? Is it still appealing to young people in the same way?
Not in the same way, but it's still appealing. I mean, young people will be finding their own music and making their own take on it. Are the Stones still as dangerous as they were? Well, of course not. I mean, you've got Sir Mick Jagger, and likewise Sir Paul McCartney. I think what they are emblematic of is how rock and roll has evolved with the time. You asked earlier, why are they still so successful? And it's by being adaptable, by sort of working out how to change with the times to an extent, certainly. So it is part of the establishment now, but younger artists will take that template and run with it in a different way.
And is there a sense, Danny, do you think that they can, kind of live forever now? We've seen ABBA do their Voyage, haven't we, with their sort of hologram figures. The suggestion is that many people will do that. They might be 76, 79 and 80 now, but they could just go on and on and on.
Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, it's just as simple as that. If there's a demand for that, which there will be with the Rolling Stones, as there is for ABBA, and many other artists, if they're around and can be manipulated to do that sort of technology, absolutely. I mean, listen, the longer the Rolling Stones do it, the better for the world. I think they're a great example these days. I mean, when they were younger, they were a little bit, sort of a little bit heavy on the rock and roll. I mean, there's lifestyle, but they're just fantastic. And I think what they're doing today is brilliant. And I can't wait to get out there and photograph them again when they get this on the road. So, and thanks for showing those pictures. It's very nice to see more pictures out there, on telly. So.
Well, thank you for letting us, and fingers crossed that you get to photograph them. On that note, we conclude. Danny Clifford, who's photographed the Rolling Stones on a number of occasions, and Dr. Adam Bear. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.